Wow, what a seamless transition from that stunning intro music.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent intro music.
Episode 2, and we're getting tighter all the time. Waka waka.
Welcome.
Episodes. 2 episodes.
All 2 of them.
One more than most people make. And this isn't counting the one that we've discarded because we weren't happy with the quality. Welcome, everyone, to Sharpen That Axe, a podcast dedicated to strengthening your skills as a guitar player, guitarista. That's all I got.
Okay. I don't have any fancy names.
BA in Spanish.
I'm sorry.
That's all I've got. That's all
you're
right.
the English major.
Right. So.
Anyway, I'm John Gillen.
Hi, John.
How's it going? Over here, across from me is Dylan Murphy.
Sipping on a cup of Joe.
Yeah.
John with the H. Who are you?
No
Why
H.
are you here?
There's no H.
No H.
No H. Anyway, yes, John Gillen. I am a guitar teacher, guitar player, guitar fan.
Guitar nerd.
Nerd.
Let's not forget nerd.
Total guitar nerd. We'll talk about that, and you'll figure it out as we go. But yeah, for sure. And I also have a company with my business partner, Mark Young, a fellow guitar nerd, and it's called Silver Sound Guitar. And
it looks very legit, John. It's on the website there.
Yeah.
It's very pretty.
Yeah, it is. You guys should check it out. It is silversoundguitar.com, and that's all one word. Yeah, anyway, he and I have been teaching for a long time, teaching together now for a couple of years. And one of the things that just I really realized I'm interested in is the learning process. So both for myself, I had to learn a lot of different techniques on how to get myself better as a player, and a little bit of help along the way. But I felt like there's a need to sort of share that knowledge with other people.
Very admirable of you.
Yeah, oh, thank you. It's magnanimous. I like to think of myself as a magnanimous person. So anyway, but that's what I'm doing here. And you, Mr. Murphy, what brings you here?
I'm Dylan Murphy. I'm in this room because we are trying to use all the facilities we can in the UCC Music Department, where we are currently doing a Master's in Musicology.
Hey, we paid for it.
We did pay for it, amongst other things, paying for it with the time. So, I am Dylan Murphy. I'm a songer, songwriter, guitarist, player who is looking to expand his knowledge in all things guitar, gear, technique, mostly playing habits, which is practice habits as well, which is what we're here to talk about today. As with last week, if you haven't checked out last week's episode, please go. You can find us on Soundcloud. We'll have it linked in the description below. So, yeah, I'm just here. We're basically working on a sort of a sensei, apprentice kind of thing.
Master Padawan. Yeah,
we used that last week. We're going to have to write down some more for next week.
Yeah, it's true.
So we are here to improve our knowledge of all things guitar. Well, I am anyway, because I am the village idiot of the podcast.
Oh, come on. Seriously. Dylan has spent a lot of time figuring out time management stuff and applying that to his practice.
I have indeed spent a lot of time doing that. And yeah, because in our busy world, it's easy to get distracted, and you want to focus on what's important. And what's important to us, John? Guitar. We should have a sound effect button that just has guitar.
Getting better at guitar.
Getting better at guitar.
Yeah, and if you want to check out, again, shameless plug promotion for the first
plug
episode.
It away.
Yeah, go check out the first episode. We talk a little bit more just about time management, that sort of thing. And we'll do that today.
We will indeed.
Well. Yes.
So it's time for pedal talk, John.
Oh, pedal talk. Where's the sound effect button?
Oh man, we gotta get a soundboard.
Yeah.
So last time on pedal talk, we talked about overdrive and distortion and the differences between them. So now we're gonna move on to something somewhat in the family, maybe a distant cousin of distortion.
Well, I think it's a similar type of distortion.
It is,
and,
yeah. Maybe not so distant.
So
maybe you'd see it maybe twice a year. Yeah.
That
kind of
exactly.
Cousin. Yeah. Fuzz
pedals.
Talking about fuzz.
So. Last week we talked a little bit about overdrive and distortion, as you mentioned, and just kind of recap that the idea of an overdrive is essentially it's based on a tube amp, and it's designed to sort of push your signal to give that sort of overdriven sound of the amp. So if you think of the classic overdriven sound of like Led Zeppelin's a great example. I think I mentioned that last time.
Mm-hmm. Classic rock.
Yeah. Classic.
Creamy, warmth.
And, yeah, exactly. Those sorts of things. So don't necessarily think of cream, because that's where we're going to go today.
Oh.
Yeah. But if you think a classic pedal for an overdrive would be like the TS-808, the classic tube screamer. And And you want to think of it as essentially as signal clipping, but it's signal clipping through the tube. It's not really messing with your tone at all. Whereas a distortion is going to kind of mess a little bit with your tone.
Yeah, I've had a lot of distortion pedals that have messed with my tone.
Yeah.
Messed it up good-o, I tell you, my friend.
It's, well, you know, like the classic, the Rat, for example, is one of those. And it really dirties it up, gives you that really
dirty-ass rat.
Raw sound. Of course, your Boss DS1, that's like everyone's first distortion pedal. And then the DS2, which is the turbo distortion. Both Vi and Satriani use that for a while. But it's the same idea of clipping, but it clips it before the amp. And so the idea is it breaks up the sound before the amp, and you don't get the same warmth, the same sense of overtones that you would get with the tube overdrive.
John, if they want to hear more, they can just go back to our first episode. Don't spoil the first episode.
So you're telling me I need to reel it in.
Reel it in.
All right, and move on to
like a distorted
fuzz pedal.
fish.
So the fuzz, which kind of predates both of these, comes from the early 60s. It's usually a really simple circuitry, just kind of bringing together some simple transistors. And again, the idea is to break up that signal. Mm-hmm. And classic sounds of this, for example, would be like Iron Butterflies in Agata Davida. Think Cream in, you know...
yes, back to Cream.
Yeah, like In the White Room or something like that. Foxy Lady, of course, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
You know,
that old Hendrix fuzz tone.
Yeah, absolutely. So...
but it's not just... It kind of went away for a while.
Yeah.
During the kind of 70s and 80s, and then it came back with the grunge era?
Yeah, exactly. So I'd say like Smashing Pumpkins is a classic example of
Cherub
that.
Rock.
Yeah, that's a perfect one.
Today.
And then even later, like Queens of the Stone Age, you know, Little Sister's a good one. I think when we were talking about this, you mentioned another one, and I can't recall what it was.
It'll come back to me.
Okay.
Oh, Jack White and the Black Keys.
Of course,
a lot of fuzz.
Yeah,
a lot of fuzz.
Jack White's great for that stuff. So, but that kind of gives you an idea. I mean, loads of stuff to listen to kind of find that fuzzy tone. And it's just kind of like when you think of it, it's just sort of, it's like a Muppet. It's like Cookie Monster, you know?
My favorite fuzz tone of all time has been it was the fuzz tone for I've Never Met a Girl Like You Before. You know that one?
Oh, yeah.
I'm totally out of key.
Who's that by?
But I'm going to look that up because we have technology to do so.
Hooray for technology.
And it's by Edwin Collins. Pretty sure that was a one-hit wonder. But man,
I
that
honestly
tone.
can't think of another song that...
We had to look it up.
Yeah,
we had to look up his name.
Yeah.
That says it all. But yeah, banging fuzz tone. So if I was to buy my first fuzz pedal or buy a popular fuzz pedal, what would I be going for?
I mean, the classic one, of course, is the fuzz face. That's
it's like a big kind of circular
pedal. And it's got two knobs on it. And then, of course, the button that turns it on. And it has a little bit of a smiley face on it.
There you go.
Yeah, classic Hendrix sound to it. Like he's really known for making that one popular.
Of course, and if you want to buy one but you want to pay 5 times the price, you go for the Joe Bonamassa version.
Does he have one?
Oh,
now?
he does. He has his own signature. His own signature, everything.
My goodness. Yeah.
One signature sunglasses. I saw him a few years ago, and I have to say, he doesn't have something. I saw him a few years ago though, and he was mind-blowingly good.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he's an absolutely phenomenal player, but he will put his name on everything, including a cruise.
Joe, if you're listening, and we know you are, if you want to sponsor this podcast by putting your name on it, we will call it the Joe Bonamassa Sharpen That Axe podcast. But you are going to have to give us some free sunglasses
and a guitar
and fuzz pedals. Everything that your name is.
Just one of everything, and an amp. I don't remember. Does he have a deal with Fender? Is that what it is?
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Another one, of course, is the Big Muff. That's another like good fuzz pedal for you. Mm-hmm. So the Electro Harmonics one. Anyway, so we've got 2 there. Check them out. See who's using the Big Muff and see who's using your fuzz face, and there's a handful of other boutique ones out there. We don't have time to go into those.
We don't because
what's next?
We're moving on to practice time. It's now practice time. So we're going to talk about, last time we were talking about basically 5 ways to kind of improve your practice, kind of very generally, just from the get-go.
Yeah.
And now we're going to talk a little bit more about how to manage your practice time when you only have a little bit of practice time.
Right, because we live in a busy world.
We do.
Yeah.
Going back to that.
Yeah, so for me, one of the most important things, and I think you've said this as well, is it kind of goes along with setting goals, but the more specific thing is set your tasks. So for today, if I have to sit down, I'm going to figure out how much time do I have and what can I accomplish in that amount of time. So a matter of setting those specific things. If it's, I need to work on some scales, I want to work on a riff, and I want to work on a song, what does that look like? And how much time do I have?
Okay, that sounds pretty good. So basically deciding how much time you have and working with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, have you any tasks of these tasks that you do every day? Or do you
I usually
chop it up, mix and match?
Yeah, I kind of chop it up. So
Pick and mix.
I have a couple exercises that I might overlap from day to day. Say if I had, let's say, a 6-day practice schedule, doesn't always work that way, but let's say that's how it goes. Then on days 1, 2, and 3, I'll do, let's say, exercise 20, and then on days 2, 4, and 6, I'll do exercise 21.
Okay.
So sort of break it up like that, so that
keeps things interesting.
Yeah, it keeps things interesting. If there's something in particular that I really want to focus on during the week and just really nail down, then I might do it 3 days in a row, and then maybe once or twice later in the week.
Yeah, you're making sure that every day isn't leg day. Which
yeah,
would,
exactly.
I suppose be what, Pinky Day?
Yeah. I think
there we
that
go.
Would be or don't skip Pinky Day.
Don't skip Pinky Day. I can see it on a t-shirt now. Give us some money. So when we're figuring out these tasks and basically keeping track of them, this kind of comes back to what we were talking to last time about a log. I think a log would be a good thing to do.
Yeah. Do you keep a log?
Oh, yeah. No, I have a log. I have a big old log that I got in Deals with a Z. And it
That's
goes...
right. It's Z over here for all of our American listeners.
Yes, we don't use
that
S's over
Z,
here in Ireland.
The letter Z, like in Z.
We invented the language, John. You guys just chew it up and spit it out.
You didn't invent it,
yeah,
but we won't go there.
Yeah. Anyway, this escalated quickly. So yeah, I use a log a day by day, but I've been neglecting it recently, and I look forward to getting back to my log. Should be a good thing.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I do. I've done a couple of different things. I have kept like an Excel spreadsheet where I'll have the date and then the exercise or the song or whatever it is in the next column, and then beats per minute that I performed it at, or percentage. We can talk a little bit about the idea of beats per minute versus percentage of full speed. And then the last column might be how much time I spent on it.
You also showed me before you have a little encouraging notes in the margins.
Yeah. So I kind of moved away from that because one of the things, if you read a lot of your time management stuff and in psychology books and that sort of thing, you start finding pretty quickly that positive reinforcement is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
absolutely.
For any one of us that's ever had a pat on the back and made us feel good about it, like, that's a good thing. So
anything can be made better with positive reinforcement. Trust me, I've worked in retail. I swear.
I think it's important to remind yourself that, hey, this was better than last week. And that was better than a month ago.
Progress, people.
Yeah. And while it's okay to see it in numbers, for me, I've found when I write it down and say, hey, that was really good, that's kind of encouraging. I can step away from my practice and say, hey, I am getting better. I'm not as terrible of a player as I want to be. We can be our own worst critics sometimes. And that's one of the things that keeps people from practicing more. So if you can find a way to just write down the positive parts first and then say, okay, this needs improvement, and then you go on to the next bit. Or the compliment sandwich.
Solid. Compliment. Yes. The infamous compliment sandwich.
Something good, something that needs work, something good.
There you go.
Yeah, give yourself a compliment sandwich sometime.
There you go.
You'll thank yourself later.
It's delicious.
Tasty.
Is that all? Was that all we have?
Couple of other things, like the idea of breaking up your time. So we set your tasks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with that goes with breaking up your time. And it might be that
subdivisions.
You could get 15 minutes maybe in the morning, and you could get 15 minutes in the evening.
I gotta start doing that, man.
And
supposed to just like give myself 90 minutes in the middle of the day. It's not working for me.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder to block off bigger chunks.
Yeah.
But if it's a little bit easier to find 15 minutes, So if you can find 3 chunks of 15 minutes, all of a sudden, You've
Give
got
yourself a little stretch and then just go at it.
Yeah, you've got 45 minutes. But in that, that's why setting your tasks are important, I think, because you have to sit down and say, hey, I can do 3 exercises, 5 minutes each, get those done, get them out. And then maybe one of those 15 minutes is I'm just going to take 15 minutes and I'm going to focus on a song. And it's got to be this section of the song. Don't expect to play the whole thing through, because even if it's only a 3-minute song, you're going to play it through 5 times and you're going to screw it up every time.
Oh, yeah.
So take your time to figure out that small section and then use a timer with that. That's kind of the big thing, I think, because a lot of times you can look up at your clock and go, oh, it's been 20 minutes. Well, and now you're late for something or whatever the case may be.
Because you enter that state of flow and time just slows down. But it
exactly.
doesn't really, because you're late for work and you're going to lose your job and your family. Yeah.
That's in your
what
house.
Are they going to do?
What
are they going to do?
Well, you'll write a country song. That's what you'll do.
Right there. So to recap on our practice time, you set your tasks, decide how much time you have. You break up that time and use a log as well as a timer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a really concise way to put it.
Yeah. There you go.
Excellent.
Make a note. Write it down. We wrote it down because we had to read it out to you guys. There you go. And now we're moving on to what are we listening to this week, John?
Okay.
We play a lot of music. Well, not as much as we'd like to, but we play music, but we also listen to it.
Right. Well, and it's important to listen to it. I mean, I think that's where I got inspired to play it, honestly.
Absolutely.
Just by listening to it.
So these days, what are you listening to?
This week, I've been kind of camping out with Intervals, the band.
Yeah. The band. Right.
The band Intervals, not just sounds, but intervals. And the album is The Shape of Color with a U for all of you British English people
Excellent.
Out there. Yeah.
What do you like about this band? Intervals?
Well, in particular, this is kind of a nerd guitar band.
Really?
Yeah.
A band with the name Intervals.
Intervals
are a nerd
with
band.
A U. Yeah, they might fall into the very broad category of gent or progressive metal. Instrumental, they weren't always, but the guitar player, Aaron Marshall, I think has really done some really cool things with this particular record. One of the tracks, Meridian, has just some really great melodic content, and then it also picks up, gets kind of aggressive, and just it's a fun romp, fun to listen to. It's got good melodies, good guitar work, and just a load of fun to listen to.
I'm just impressed that you're putting the word romp in with the band.
It's a romp through the
Intervals.
fields.
Yeah.
But
that sounds solid. Sounds good.
Anyway,
keeping you thinking.
Yeah. Yourself, what are you into?
I am digging. I don't think shred is a dirty word, but I don't exactly listen to it very much. But my favorite shredder, John 5, of ex-Marilyn Manson fame, now plays at Rob Zombie, just released his, I want to say, like 27th solo album. I don't know, he's released a lot is what I'm saying. Seasons of the Witch is what it's called. I tweeted at him recently saying that I wasn't worthy after hearing it, and he retweeted me.
Oh, retweeted.
Yeah, moving up in the world. That's so right. Yeah, it's freaking badass, man. It's just it's shred, but it's also country. He exclusively plays Telecasters,
and it's like that Albert Lee country.
Oh man, it's so good.
Oh, so good. Chicken picking type, just mind blowing.
Absolutely. I mean, that one song you got Chet Atkins, the next song you got freaking Van Halen. So highly recommend checking it out. It's been on repeat in my house. My poor housemates listening to that on a daily basis.
Well, so in that case, are you learning anything?
Oh, we're on to what are we learning?
Yeah.
God, so soon. The time is passing so quickly.
I know.
I am actually. I picked one of the songs off this because I felt that it was not too overwhelming. It's called "Here's to the Crazy Ones." It was the single that was released off it. I know, shred albums with singles is probably not the best idea.
Hey, you're talking to a guitar nerd here.
Yeah, right. But it's and you, dear listener, dear viewer. Maybe you are watching us. Yeah, it's badass, man. It's just got there's a really nice kind of verse chorus structure, but every now and again he'll just take his own random middle section, and it's all like I've broken it down now into a few different parts, which is basically what we were saying there, like breaking things down.
Yeah,
and it's all what he's doing isn't, apart from some mad sweeping that comes in towards the end, it's all pretty standard. But you've got slap popping, you've got tapping, you've got mad eruption style tremolo runs. It's so
Incredible.
good. It's so good.
Nice.
How about you? What are you learning?
Oh, well, I'm kind of picking apart a couple of things. Like I've got a couple of riffs working on. There's a little section from Dream Theater's Take the Time from their. I honestly can't remember what the album is now.
They have a lot of albums, John.
Yeah, they really do.
So
anyway,
you're getting your protruce on.
yeah, exactly. So it's a great.
Nothing wrong with that.
Gonna look that up
It's gonna drive you crazy.
yeah, it is. And all of the prog nerds will hate me for saying it. I just didn't want to say, the wrong album. Images and Words. So anyway,
I really would have liked if you'd given me the opportunity to try and name a Dream Theater album there.
right.
Because I was going to say something along... Because all these prog albums have the same names. It's always something to do with color or moving or motion.
Yeah, moving
or-
pictures.
Yeah.
Moving images and words.
Yeah, aerial color. See, I just made up...
That's the name of my next album.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds solid.
Yeah. Do I have to pay you for that name?
We'll discuss it after the podcast. John.
Anyway, but this riff in Take the Time, it's a C minor riff that kind of climbs up the arpeggio on, or C sharp minor, excuse me, up the fretboard, just on the third and fourth strings, and it's just kind of an interesting way to play it. So I was like, I kind of pick that apart and figure out what he's doing there. And then the other thing that I've been taking is the intro to an Al Di Meola song called Casino.
Ah.
So it's this triplet run with a bunch of muted notes in there, just palm mutes like Al Di Meola does. So it's scalar stuff, but it's super quick and has a little bit of a Spanish flair to it, as he likes to throw in. So
Ay Dios mío.
yeah,
That sounds solid. I will check out those tracks once I remember what the Dream Theater one was. But it's lost. I'll listen back to this. I'll listen back to myself saying this pretty meta. Well, I think that's us for today. We've covered a lot of ground here.
yeah,
John.
I think so. Thanks for listening.
Folks,
I'm John
keep
Gillen.
sharpening that axe. I've been Dylan Murphy and still am Dylan Murphy. And we will talk to you next week.
All right.
Godspeed.